there, it's Ray and welcome to the In a Nutshell series where I try to make short summaries of games and other media. For this video, we'll be doing Adventure Forward 2 Points of Conflict, released in 2017. This is the sequel to the first game of the series, which I have made an In a Nutshell video on. This game also lets you collect stars and red coins, but also introduces you to points, symbols, bonus levels, and an absolute banger of a soundtrack. Regarding the soundtrack, I will not be playing most, if not all of it in this video, as it is very likely to get me several copyright claims. I do recommend you listen to the songs though. There are many amazing artists and songs this game introduced me to, such as Savant, Anamanaguchi, and Winter Garden. It also apparently introduced me to Homestuck, with its usage of Air of Grief in World 3. This is my personal favorite in the duology, as there's more worlds plus bonus levels. Screw Magma Hall though, that level sucks. So many spinners and heat related elements that make Super Meat Boy's 4th world look tame in comparison. Anyways, let's get to summarizing. The game starts with Siom greeting you and introducing himself as part of a group of celestial beings known as Points. They believe that you are the second coming of the Star Savior and that the first Star Savior vanished after defeating Stratosphere. They then mention that there's a new bad guy known as Celestial and that the world needs your help. You go to the Sky Emporium where you can visit various worlds and meet the other Points. The first world you go to is Adventure Grounds, Chalaire's world. Here you can avoid evil fish, maneuver your way through machinery, and ride rainbows. When you do Chalaire's challenge course, all the grass and trees are orange and the water is absent. Was it that hot out? Anyways, you get Chalaire's symbol after traversing through various obstacles. The second world you go to is Cabin Club, Signal's world, which seems to be a jazz club of some sort, judging by all of the trombones, the piano keys, and bass guitars. There's also an aquarium housing evil fish. They can apparently kill you when you're not even touching them, or maybe that's just me. There's also an area where you can use saw blades to transport to various parts of it. You then do Signal's challenge course, which is surprisingly a bit more complex than Chalaire's. You finally reach a room with a table and 2 seats. On top of said table is Signal's symbol, which you collect. The third world is Frosted Snowland, Compale's world, which I personally had trouble with in terms of red coins when playing on my other Bacon Hair account. This world introduces probably the most flawed mechanic in the entire game, the ball mechanic, which involves you being encased in a translucent ball akin to a hamster ball. There are quite a few of these in the main worlds. These worlds are World 3, World 5, World 7, and World 8. The last two have very annoying ball mechanic courses, with World 7's being the worst out of the 4. Now, why do I think it's a flawed mechanic? It's because when rolling at high speeds, trying to roll to the left, right, or even backwards is evidently much harder, but the way it moves is honestly kind of understandable, as its physics seem similar to real life, though I even had issues with it in my 19th birthday special.
Are there moments where I don't have to control this stupid, unstable ball?
Anyways, in the third world, you can climb a snowman, avoid spikes protruding from the floors with what looks like an icy cave, and save Christmas, I guess? Doing Compale's challenge course results in everything suddenly taking a slightly bluish tint. It ends with you taking another ball course onto what looks like a compass. Going in the middle leads to Compale, who wants you to prove your Star Savior status by fighting them. You decrease their health bar almost all the way, but then they reveal their true form and their attacks suddenly get more complex. Your camera view starts changing a bit more often. I actually ended up running into a problem during this constant camera view changing where my mouse cursor suddenly disappeared and I was unable to aim properly. However, I ended up defeating them. Compale compliments you for your efforts and you obtain their symbol. You then head off to the 4th world, Wooden Workshop, which has a birdhouse as a starting point. This is Plock's world. After climbing up nails, using saw blade power-ups, and being relentlessly and unforgivingly knocked over by rotating walls, you go ahead and do Plock's challenge course, which is filled to the rim with many sharp objects. After being your most careful not to get a laceration, you finally obtain Plock's symbol. You then go to Star Sanctuary, Anshine's world, and the 5th world overall, where you avoid spinning stars, get bumped around by those annoying robots, you can get a cathartic feeling when you knock them down, scale a tower, which is based off of the clock tower from the first game, and get introduced to the battery mechanic. When you get to do Anshine's challenge course, it is now nighttime as opposed to the world outside the challenge course taking place in the daytime. You eventually reach the Temple of Shadows, where Anshine greets you and assures you that they'll give you their symbol, but wants to show you something inside the temple, as it is very important, even though no one except them is allowed in it. You are allowed into the temple where you see red X's, red gash-like shapes, and cries for help shifting in the dark room. Anshine tells you that the final traces of Stratosphere's essence are in this temple, but then starts feeling like they've heard these calls for help before. They shrug it off and give you their symbol. You go to the 6th world, Sandbrick Sandbox, which is Ulips's world. Here you explore the secrets of pails, ride sandstorms, and avoid purple-eyed orb things. You then approach Ulips, who is not happy with you at all and orders you to leave. If you refuse, you will then face their wrath, and when you go through their challenge course, you then proceed to fight them. Their attacks are much more intense than Compale's, especially when they start flying towards you multiple times on a purple crescent, and most especially during their true form, with one of the attacks involving trying to grab you. After defeating them, they're still angry with you and call you a fool. There's a reason why they're acting like this. Later in the game, in the Sky Emporium, they apologize to you for the way they regarded you, telling you that their fear and rage at others have left them broken and misunderstood. When When you go to the Mad Dragon Festival, Arrowlin's world, and the 7th world overall, which I'm guessing has an Asiatic thing to it, this world introduces another rather annoying gimmick, the dragons. Personally, they tend to move very fast. Reacting is rather difficult as a result. Oh, and the ball course is just terrible. You get to run across the rooftops, which is really awesome and feels like an epic parkour session. Anyways, you finally get to do Arrowlin's challenge course, which consists of more rooftop climbing and those annoying conveyor belt dragons. You end up completing the challenge course and Arrowlin congratulates you. The 8th world is Battery Cannon, Mino's world, which has a more robotic and technological theme to it and consists of things such as electric walls, solar panels, rotary blades, and lasers, apparently. It also has a ball course that marked the first time in the recording of me openly expressing my disapproval of the ball mechanic in the chat room, with everyone else on the current server at the time agreeing with me. You go ahead and do Mino's challenge course, which is somewhat unpredictable and strange. You finally get through the challenge course with Mino recognizing you as new star savior. You then proceed to get their symbol. The 9th world is Distortion Paradise, Ixal's world, which has level designs that I regard as extremely stress-inducing and bad at times. The world's main theme, Neo Tokyo Sunset, is an absolute banger and it's extremely hard to deny that. I cannot play any of the songs in this video, however, due to copyright. Anyways, after avoiding so many distorted obstacles and not so distorted obstacles, you finally do Ixal's challenge course where you avoid exploding televisions. When you confront Ixal, they seem to revel in wanting to kill you. I don't know about that for sure, but their boss fight seems to be much more difficult than Compales and Ellipses, consisting of spikes, upside down hurdle jumping, distortion bombs, and a gosh dang laser. Personally, the entire fight is nearly unpredictable, especially with the laser. When you defeat them, they are alarmingly absent and only their symbol is there, which you proceed to obtain. You proceed to go through a big door near the entrances of Battery Cannon and Distortion Paradise and wind up in a hallway, where all the points you met seem to be worried about the eerie atmosphere of the hallway. Signal, Ulips, and Mino seem more concerned about Ixal, who believes that Siom is around the corner of the hallway. In the next part of the room, all the points sans Ixal state that they don't see Siom. They're all looking at Ixal, who suddenly starts screaming in absolute pain about Siom killing their friends. Siom comes in wondering what's going on, and Ixal declares that they will destroy them. Siom does not approve and teleports you and Anshine to a tea party. Anshine anxiously calls Compale and Ulips over, who attack Siom. Siom does not improve. Reality seems to shatter, and you are teleported to the doorway to the 10th and final world, aptly titled Shattered Starscape. You reach the Sky Emporium, which now seems to be crumbling apart. On your way through, 3 of them talk about your encounter with Stratosphere, 1 of them wants you to leave them alone right now, 3 of them are confused and anxious, and Siom is seemingly absent. This red and blue color scheme honestly seems very unsettling. You then take a warp leading to a long room littered with shards with Siom at the end of it. Here, they quite literally admit to being the villain. Not only that, when you and the other points confront them, they also openly admit to killing the voices in Ixal's mind, just because they were in the way. They also mention something interesting about the points, that they were normal people, but then their memories were completely wiped and they were turned into points. This explains why Anshine and Ulips had suspicions of the Star Savior. Siom very boldly assumes that you're another construct for the narrative, whatever that means, but the other points disagree and express their gratitude and hope for you. Siom does not approve. You are then teleported to his boss fight, which is personally exacting, as unlike the first 3 boss fights, Siom cannot and will not keep still for longer than 3 seconds. Like, what the hell is this, bro? I'm barely given any reaction time. Anyways, after you defeat Siom, you find Stratosphere, whose symbol shatters, revealing their face and freeing them. This is you saving them. All the points arrive and prepare to attack, but Anshine is hesitant and wants to hear them out. Anshine states that they've never met before, and Stratosphere responds to this all their fault, as they had wiped the points' memories. They introduce themselves as the first Star Savior. The other points don't believe them, but then they start talking about a tragic series of events, which prompts the points to believe them. Stratosphere then states that Siom had been essentially manipulating them for 300 years. Oh yeah, that reminds me, I could have sworn I saw something in the first game, you know, in the true ending with the Pillar of Light. Slow that down for me. Oh my gosh. It all makes sense now. There's quite a lot of exposition and interrogation in this scene and the scene that follows, so I won't be able to cover much of it in this video, but Siom arrives and seems to be suffering from a case of redness. They manage to take the shooting star, the weapon you'd use to fight Compale, Ulips, and Ixal, from you. After some more exposition about Siom's plans, they start transforming into their true form and reveal that Stratosphere's symbol was actually the very first symbol they had created. Now, here comes the big reveal. Remember when, at the beginning, Siom mentioned there was a new bad guy known as Celestial? Well, now it's revealed that Siom is Celestial. You're then teleported to the final boss fight, where the game makes moving around and dodging noticeably harder via strange camera positioning, at least for me. As you collect the symbols of each point, damage is dealt to Celestial until you collect Stratosphere's symbol, which prompts Stratosphere to land the killing blow on Celestial. The game ends with Celestial dissolving into shards and the Sky Emporium being restored back to normal. However, the game doesn't just end there. After the world is saved, the points are very thankful for your help, though Nain thinks differently of Celestial and seems to condemn you for defeating them. However, Stratosphere feels that there might be more to do. They're right. The true ending happens when you collect 55 stars. These stars are obtained through the bonus levels. After going through 18 bonus levels, you can go through a door that sits next to the door you entered on your way to defeat Celestial. You end up in a room where you meet Y'allgate. If you have 55 stars or more, you are able to open up the gateway, which leads to the pocket dimensions, with the first one being Y'allgates. It consists of multiple yellow squared speed bags. After navigating across each one, you reach Y'allgate's symbol, which you proceed to collect. The next pocket dimension is very familiar. This is essentially an easier version of the 7th world from the first game, where you fight Stratosphere. After jumping across rotary platforms and climbing up red poles, you reach Stratosphere, who encourages you to continue giving others hope. You proceed to collect their symbol. The 3rd and 4th pocket dimensions are my personal least favorites. You have to climb some courses, but here's the thing. What you are climbing is actually in front of you and behind you respectively. I personally had trouble trying to get on the warp at one point. The symbols you collect are Morward and Passless, who are manifestations of the future and past respectively. After going through those, you enter the 5th and final pocket dimension, which is rather dark and contains buttons. Pressing these buttons will reveal platforms, but they tend to flash by very quickly. Personally, this barely gives me any time to react. Also, one of these paths work weird, as there are apparently gaps in it that you can fall through. But anyways, you reach Voixer, a manifestation of the Void, who wants to fight you as they owe Celestial a favor. It's a battle on who deserves to exist. You grab the shooting star and prepare to fight Voixer, who has changed her form. They stop. They are surprised that they have changed form, which means that they are not entirely made out of nothingness. They declare that they don't want to exist knowing that Celestial is using them. In response to this, they dissipate their physical form and vanish from existence, hoping that you remember them. You proceed to collect their symbol. In the same room you first met Y'allgate in, there is a white void-like room behind them, which contains Celestial's symbol. You proceed to collect it and talk to the person in the— It's actually real funny how you thought that I was actually going to show him in the video. But yeah, this person basically talks about the game's development process. And that's pretty much it. The prize you get for 100% completion is a speech. Well guys, this has been In a Nutshell. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. See you next time.